Okay, hello everybody. This is Candy from the Foundations for Success. Most of you already know me, but today I have a very awesome guest speaker. I've known Dan for a while, on and off. We just keep connecting. He's one of those people that when I shout out to him, he's like, "When do you want to talk? I've got time for you anytime you want." And he's just that kind of person that is always available to help other people. And that's one of the things I really like about Dan. He's just so genuine and so generous with all of his information. He's always giving, 110 or 150% of everything that you ask for from him without even asking in return what he can get. But I'm always like, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? So what I decided today was to feature Dan on in our group here because he's got so much amazing good information for you. For anybody that wants to get into, starting a business and, obviously focusing around real estate because that's why we're all in this group. But Dan's one of those people that we could talk on a million different topics all day long and never lose stuff to talk about. Like he's like, I call him my brother from another mother because we're both redheads and we both can just, keep going and going and going, right? And so anyways, I felt I just really wanted to introduce you guys to Dan because he will never take from your life. He will always add to your life and give you all kinds of positive things that you can, put into your life, especially your business, to make it way better than you ever imagined it could be. And Dan has this little thing that he calls his his plan for world dominance. And I loved that title. When he said that, I thought he went to share with me something that I'm going to get him to share with you guys. And he goes, "This is my plan for world dominance." And I thought, brilliant. I absolutely love that. So everybody say hello to Dan, and Dan, say hello to everybody.
Hey, thank you so much, Candy. I so appreciate the opportunity to come on and share with your tribe. I know, and I don't take these opportunities lightly because I too have a tribe, and I'm very protective of them and who I choose to introduce to them and who I refer to them. There's plenty of bad actors out in the world, so I'm very careful, and I really do appreciate it. And yes, I'm excited to share the Dan Goodwin plan for world domination to with your tribe because I believe everyone needs to have a plan for world domination in whatever field they sparkle at.
And I like that you kind of just sort of clarify what you mean by that. It's not like you're just taking over the world. That's right. It's really about how do you dominate your place? How do you become the best at what you're doing
Right.
instead of just falling into it? And one of the main reasons that we were in a conversation and something clicked for me. I thought, you got to share this with my group because as a coach, I've been coaching real estate investing since 2001. And one of the things that I have seen that is like prevalent throughout the industry is that most people get into real estate investing without a solid plan. Most of them,
Right.
they like the idea of getting into real estate. And you are a real estate investor too. I'll put that out there too, as Dan is very, very knowledgeable in the real estate world. He can tell you a bit about his background there. But one of the things that I thought was needed to be addressed in this industry was the fact that most people, and I would say like over 90, 95% of the people that I've worked with or even just networked with and met, they like the idea of real estate. They decide they're going to take a class or go to some seminar or something like that to learn about how to do it, and then they just go out and start, and just go, trial and error, deal by deal, based on information that they've learned maybe in a short little seminar and, weekend or maybe a month or two. But that's typically what I see. And the problem with that is they don't even know what they're wanting. They don't know what the end goal is. They don't know what
Right.
strategies will give them what the pros and cons are, what the risks are involved, and what the profits and margins could be, or what is that strategy going to get them where they want to go? And they just dive in. Unlike any other business that I've seen where you have a business plan, maybe you get a degree, you learn it, you're willing to spend the money to get educated and, take it serious. And, this is the career I'm going for, instead of, oh, this is kind of like a side hustle. If it works, great. If it doesn't, maybe it'll sink me financially. Hopefully not, right? This is what I see
Right.
so much. Have you noticed that yourself?
Oh yeah, yeah, and I was one of those that I finished up a corporate career, and wow, when I so my wife and I decided to get in real estate investing back in 2006, 7, somewhere through there. And I was working for a Fortune 500 company and decided to get paroled at the end of 6 after 19 years. And so I actually gave notice in December, and I was gone by March of '07. And if you remember what happened to the housing market about 7, 8, 9,
Yeah, you just got in at the right
baby.
time, didn't you? No.
Yeah, yeah. So our goal, and this is a little bit of the story, is one of us. We decided that one of us would get licensed, and my wife actually got her license first, and I kept working on everything back office that I could do to support her. Well, serendipity. So this is what happens when the market goes a downturn and your investing strategies get changed or thrown out the window. You pivot. And our pivot was we had gone to those weekend seminars, we had dropped some money, and we knew how to help distressed homeowners. So we brought our expertise to bear on our local realty office, the brokerage office, and we were told by the productivity coach there, "What, you can't do that. That's not a transaction." Well, it wasn't a transaction that she knew about, right? A short sale transaction. It
Also,
was
it wasn't
traditional.
traditional, right?
It wasn't traditional. It wasn't in the box. So, long story short, over 5 years until 13, we were crazy busy, and we were running 20 to 30 short sale files at any one time, which is insanity, by the way. That is the definition of insanity. And the brokerage office would ask me to go do a lunch and learn for the other agents. Well, all that did was a lead gen for our business, because when I explained processes and systems of how you had to work a short sale, most agents threw up their hands and said, "I'm never going to do one. I'll just refer mine to you."
Which is
So that's
crazy
how we
because
ended
they
up.
were like short sales were all over the map back
Oh
then.
my goodness.
So many of, oh my gosh, the way the market was crashing,
Yeah.
there's so many of them.
Yeah, it was insanity. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of how we parlayed our investing guru training into a whole nother business stream, basically, from investing. So
Cool. Well, so aside from that, like, thanks for sharing about how you got into real estate. I'd love to know more about the short sale stuff, because that's just how you handled that. Oh my gosh, there was so much opportunity if you knew what to do with those. Oh
whew,
my
yeah.
goodness gracious. But so, but just maybe share with us a little bit about your past life. I know that you used to be an investigator and you've learned some skills there. Something about uh, 14 questions that you should be asking and so forth. So maybe
Oh, sure,
give us into
sure.
a little lead into the past life of Dan Goodwin.
Well, my corporate career, I worked for the Sprint Corporation. I'll go ahead and use their name. Now it's, T-Mobile or whatever we're merging with tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So I was in the telecom business, but in the telecom business, it was that classic Michael J. Fox, secret of my success. I started in the mailroom. I did not go create myself an office though, but I started in the mailroom.
Why not?
And oh yeah, that's a great question. Why didn't I? I became a security assistant, and then I became a security investigator, and then I became a regional security manager. So at the end of 19 years when I left, I was responsible for 5 states and 2 forensic investigators that sliced and diced hard drives all day. So in my investigation career, when I started, I was sent to the John C. Reed School of Interview and Interrogation Techniques up in Chicago, which is the same school that the feds and the staties and the locals and the counties and basically all law enforcement, if you're going to go into the investigations game, that is where you go. That's where you go to get training. So the 14 questions you refer to is what we call the baseline questions. And you said, well, what are baseline questions? Baseline questions are non-threatening, easily verifiable, fact-based questions. And the reason you ask these is to gauge truthful behavior versus deceptive behavior.
Mm.
So it's very easy when I ask your name and you say, well, my name is Candy Graff. And I say, well, tell me what's your address, and you tell me your address. That's verifiable, right?
Right.
What's your date of birth? That's verifiable. What's your weight? We always lie on that one. Okay, I'm just kidding. So,
Damn
but
right.
you, so, and we may lie on the age piece too, because as you and I have talked, Candy, we have eternal youth. We never
Oh, I
age,
know,
right?
right? But if someone wants to
I
put
look
a number to it, I always tell people I'm like 35 US.
35 years. Nice. Very nice. So, uh, I went through this, and the reason you ask non-threatening, factual-based questions for your 14 questions is to get a baseline of behavior. That way, when you ask stress-inducing questions, either intentionally or unintentionally, you can gauge behavior. This is why it's so important that we see who we're talking to. And you and I have talked about this, Candy. I don't do any business appointments on the phone anymore. It's
Yeah,
video, or we just don't do.
yeah.
Now, that's not to say that if there's a real estate contract question that we don't take those phone. Of course we
Oh,
do.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about when we engage people when we're thinking about doing business with them. All
Hmm.
my coaching and consulting was done on Zoom. Everything's recorded. Everything's provided to the client. I mean, that keeps the client honest and it keeps me as the coach honest, right?
Hmm.
Because we're not going to give bad advice. We're not going to say anything that's illegal or more immoral or unethical.
Yeah,
Or we
especially when it's
shouldn't.
being recorded, right?
Exactly. The internet is forever, and these files are forever. We're using Zoom. Whatever you think about the security of Zoom, here we are.
Let's
So
not go down that
that's
road.
yeah. So well, I'm still using it, and I came out of a security background. So
There you go.
anyway, I mean, it's choices. It's just like anything else in business. It's choices. So when you say 14 questions, yes, that's based upon an investigative background, doing thousands of employee interviews with thousands of internal investigations, which people, it's human issues, it's fraud, it's theft, it's embezzlement, it's sexual harassment. I
Oh,
had a
wow.
top secret clearance. I installed covert cameras. I worked on FISA orders. And if you don't know what FISA means, you must not be watching the news, okay? Because it's all there. I mean, I've forgotten more secrets than I could even share, and some of these I'll take to my grave with me. So that's kind of where we're at with my corporate background.
So with these questions, I'm just going to take it just a tiny bit further here. One of
Sure.
the things when you shared it with me, I thought was really cool is because you asked those 14 questions, just fact-based questions, things that you can verify. But then you made the comment that you go into more tougher questions, ones that where a person might not tell the whole truth on that. And is it just to sort of like kind of like a and because the reason I want to bring this up is because I thought this is so relevant to being a real estate investor, working with for me, either with clients that I want to coach, do I want to coach this person or not? Because I'm able to ask these questions and go into other questions from there because they're relaxed. But the other side of it is I love the fact that you can use this when working with sellers that are selling a property to, gain that trust of them to share with you information, or at least be relaxed enough to share truthful information about the property that you might buy from them. And then also working with people that you might sell to make sure that you're finding out exactly what they want, and whether or not they're ideal for the property that you want to put them into. So my understanding is you're not doing this just to be kind of like in control of a conversation. It's not a gotcha kind of thing, but it's more that you're trying to help the person, by getting the right information so you can help them. Is that right?
Correct. So the keywords is what they want. So we have to line up what a seller wants or a buyer wants, and will that fit within our ethical business model? That's the question. Uh, Motivation is a key, whether you're buying or selling.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm helping a buyer, let's say I'm helping a buyer with a traditional transaction, not even a real estate investing transaction.
Mm-hmm.
That it is, how bad do you want the property? And if you meant, so one of the scripts, and we're going to talk about scripts later, but uh, one of the scripts that we talk about is, if you miss this bid, this offer by $1,000, would you feel bad? If you miss this bid by $5,000, would you feel bad? Right now in our market here in the Kansas City metropolitan area, our inventory is down 47% since July of last year. Multiple bids, multiple offers, every single property. The
Oh, wow.
same goes with the HUD properties. The same goes with the real estate investor properties. I've got all of my limbs out into these different market segments. And it doesn't matter if it's traditional real estate, HUD, whatever it is, you've got to find out the motivation and the seller. Now, sellers are reluctant, especially from the investor side. If you show up as an, say, I'm a real estate investor, their automatic reaction is to shrink back. They've heard horror stories. They're going to lowball me. They're going to steal my property. They're going to suck the equity out of it. All of these things. We've all heard these.
Yeah.
The first thing you must do is get in rapport with that person. You have got to show them that you're a human. These things, it's the lies we tell ourselves. It is the stories that are running. It's the tapes in our head, and it's all based upon our past experience or our past perceptions. And until you do the research for yourself, that perception is your reality until you choose to change it or until you help someone change it.
I like that. I like that. And I like that you're talking about like helping people with the outcomes that they need. Because that's what I always share with my group is that really I don't see real if you're truly doing the business in a win-win way, it's never really about finding the perfect deal. It's about, can you provide the outcome that these people need? So you need to know the answers to the questions, like proper questions. You need those answers so that you can provide, just determine whether can I provide the outcome that they need. Real estate just is the tool that we use, and money becomes the result if you actually provide an outcome.
Yep.
So that can take away that stress of looking for the perfect deal and focusing more on, can I help this person? And the only way I can know if I can help them is to use, your strategic kind of questions where you're just, like you said, just answering questions that they can say factually, what those answers are, and then get into the tougher ones because they're relaxed enough to share that with you and they feel a little bit more safe that you're not going to, mess them over. That kind of
right. And especially if you're not the first one to the table. I always ask him, well, who have you talked to so far? Who's, how'd that go? What did you like about that person? What did you like about that offer? What were your concerns?
Yeah.
I don't say what you didn't like. It's a little NLP there.
Yeah.
It's giving them permission to reflect. So because whatever their concerns were, that's where I know the points of pain are. That's when I get to go in and say, do I have the ability to solve this issue? And I may or may not. If I don't, it may not be a fit, and that's okay. I always tell my newbies, the deal of the century comes along once a week.
Yeah.
The deal of the century comes along once a week. So if it's not this one, it's going to be maybe the next one. Remember, 20% of your time, only 20% of your time produces the results.
Yeah.
So, but you never know what is 20% time. If we knew that, we'd be doing this Zoom from the beach, right? I mean,
right.
Have umbrella drinks and all that good stuff. So
I have done that though.
Well, I have too. I've done Zoom calls from the boat. So, but
yeah.
The internet, is not
it's
as
a little different,
functional.
but yes, yeah, I know you have to stay closer to shore than further out. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
You forget doing it on a cruise ship. I'll tell you this: the business office, the internet is terrible, and the Wi-Fi is wandering, so expensive.
Yeah.
But you said something here. I want to tie this back in because we'll get off on a tangent here. Start talking about our own conversation that everybody's sort of being fly on the wall about. But you said something about a business model. Now, I know that there's something that I used in the ad when I was sharing on Facebook about how, what I wanted you to talk about and come and meet Dan about his world dominance plan and his top 5 effing ways to create a great business.
Sure.
I loved that when I saw that because you and I are so similar when it comes to acronyms, and they usually mean something totally different. So
yeah,
we're talking about business and how to be successful and how most real estate investors really don't have, they may think they do, but they don't really have a solid plan for getting started. So do you want to share a little bit about what those 5 effing things are?
Yeah, sure. So let me share the screen here. And what I use here for your tribe is I use a software called Xmind, and this is just a way for me to visually see where the parts of the system are. And of course, now the secret's revealed. The top 5 effing ways actually deals with EFF. So for all of you people out there that thought this was going to get racy, sorry. But I always do. Mine's kind of tongue in cheek, and we've got some other 3-letter acronyms to share later. But I wanted to go through these because these are important as we dive a little deeper into a business plan. I always want to do a gut check with my coaching clients, whether they're real estate investors, whether they're new real estate agents, whether they're non-real estate business clients, because I coach, consult for all of those groups. So, but the first F is effort. And let me pop this on the screen. So, and effort's a conscious exertion of power. It takes energy and resources and focus. All of those things feed into effort. You have to be willing to put forth some effort. And you used the word a while ago, Candy, called side hustle. This is not Uber or Lyft or Dash, Postmates or DoorDash. This takes a little more planning, although that takes planning too. But this takes real estate investing takes planning.
So you can't just take a course and read a book or anything else like that. You actually have to do something.
No, you just read those courses and money just gets into your bank account. That's, it's that easy.
That's what I thought.
So it was funny because when you were saying that a while ago about investors or guru courses, it was funny because Monday morning, sometimes Saturday afternoon, I would be sitting in my office at my real estate brokerage and the phone would ring. And it was a main caller ID, wonderful thing. It was a main number for a hotel. So so the person calls, and guess what their question was?
What?
I'm looking for a real estate agent that works with investors. And I would look at the number and I would say, I said, that's great. You may have found one, but let me ask you a question. Whose class are you in this weekend? So, I think, and I blew them off their script, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I would go through the whole thing.
I can probably tell you who too, because I know who does that.
Yeah, well, a lot of them do it, but anyway, I already knew from keeping my ear to the ground who was going to be in town that weekend anyway. So I already knew the answer.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about investigations, 90% of the work was done before I ever left my office off the Sprint campus. So anyway, all right, back to this. Sorry, I digress.
Good, though. You're
okay,
right, though.
So the second F is effective. And so to have an effective business, you need to analyze your results, identify opportunities, and sometimes you have to have awareness there. And then to be effective, you have to have clarity. So, what do you mean, Dan? Well, clarity. You have to know what you want in order to get it. So, and we'll talk. We can expand on that a little later. The fourth F is you have to be effervescent. So I'm like, oh well, now he's just pulling fancy words.
I was going to say like effervescent.
Effervescent, bubbly. You have to be alive.
Oh,
you can't sit. You can't sit in your office and just hope that everybody that drives by knows that you're a real estate investor or you're looking for deals. You have to attract your tribe, and you have to. One of the ways that you attract your tribe is to exude confidence. Mm-hmm. And you say, "Well, I don't feel confident. I feel like they use the word imposter syndrome." You have confidence and belief for something you've done in life. Learn how to take those skills and learn how to move them into the next part, kind of like a corporate investigator getting into real estate and business coaching. All right. Yeah. And then the last one is you have to be effusive. You have to express emotion. You have to show enthusiasm. You have to be supportive and positive. So people say, now you're just, now you're meddling. Now you've gone to, here's what I know, that whether it's investigations, real estate investors where homeowners are hurting, or if it's just traditional buy or sell, that you have to be able to be a reader of people.
Hmm.
I'm not saying you have to be personality profile certified, whether that's DISC or Myers-Briggs or all the other types of personality, but you must have a good instinct for the people you're dealing with to see what kind of personality. Now, for those of you not familiar with DISC, go to TonyRobbins.com or wherever Candy sends you. Okay, there are personality profile tests out there you can take to just determine. You already innately know which profile you are.
Yeah.
The challenge, especially for a DI, somebody that is highly driven and highly social, I can come across like game busters, and sometimes I need to either slight tap on pedal, stop sign. That's what I call a stop sign. Just slight tap on pedal, look both ways, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or you got to get your foot off the gas, because you can come on so strong that it prevents you from getting in rapport with somebody, especially if they're hurting. If they're hurting, there's a wall, there's a trust,
Hmm.
there is something that they have to know you care versus just being, just uh, being wildly enthusiastic is
Yeah.
not a long-term strategy.
No, and that's what happens when you come out of these courses. You're so excited. It's like going to the first Rocky movie you've ever been to. You come out in the parking lot and you're just ready to start battling. Like you're just like, you feel invincible. It's the same kind of
Right.
concept. You're so excited to go do something. You have no idea what you're going to do, but you're excited to do it. And then the problem is you sit down with someone whose life is hurting. They're in a serious situation that they don't know how to help themselves out of. And then you come along and it's all about you, because and what
Yep.
you can do and what you're going to do for them, and you have no idea if that's what they even want. That's one of the things I share to people is nobody gives a crap about your program or you. They care about, can you solve my problem? I have problems. I don't care about you and your solutions. I just care, will they work for me? And because of that, that makes it easy, because all they want to tell you their problems. You just have to shut up.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be heard. I,
Yeah.
I totally believe that everybody wants to be heard. One of the things that we learned, and I had to really pace myself, was the ability on those initial consultation appointments, the ability to let people tell me how they got to this position when they're facing a distressed sale, short sale, foreclosure. And it came back to, 4 or 5 things. It was job loss, relo, death of a spouse, reduction in income. I mean, those four are the biggies, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones where people find themselves in terrible situations. And been there, done that. It is where you are able to ask questions and then shut up,
Yeah.
take notes, have in, intuitive decision making, critical thinking, try to find the solution. And listen, the solution may not be that they engage with you as a real estate investor or an agent. Your job is to put good vibes out there and refer those people that are in pain to somebody that can hurt them. Whether you're a part of that solution today, 30 days from now, 60 days, or help them dig out of the hole where that in 3, 6, 9 months, they refer a friend.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Oh,
Candy,
all
one
the
of the
time.
greatest things in my life is to re-engage with people that we helped out of short sale 3, 4, 5 years ago, who have got their act together, have recovered totally, help them buy their next house.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that a great
rewarding.
feeling? Yeah.
It's a
And
great
you
feeling.
can't know how to help somebody if you don't know what's going on in their life. And that's what I loved about those questions that you were sharing with me, because it's so in line with what I do. You do it in a different way than I do, but it's still in line. One of the things that I notice is that successful people tend to have similar strategies, similar patterns that they use. They might have a slightly different way of doing it, or a slightly different way to call it, a different name for it, but it's still the same outcome, the same approach, typically the same mindset behind why they're doing it. And that's one of the things that I like. The other thing that you said to me when we were talking the other week, we were talking about, in general, Dan and I were having this conversation before talking to you guys live, kind of talking behind your back before we met with you guys here. And we're just sort of sharing our experiences and what we found works and doesn't work over the years to see, I want to see, what Dan does that's so genius. And then I was sharing, of course, my genius. And but one of the things that Dan was saying that I thought was awesome is he says, there's only a certain point with all of these things that, you were sharing that you do, or taking these courses and stuff like this, but preparing only works until you have the plan. So what comes next after that? Now that, like you've asked, you understand the questions, you know that you need a business plan, you stop and you think, okay, you can't just dive in. I've taken a course, but I can't just dive in. I need to figure out what I need to do. I look at the 5 top effing ways to be successful, which, by the way, he's not kidding about those. I literally just did a seminar, a full day seminar this weekend, a workshop based on what is your BS, your belief system. If you notice, that was his 4th effing thing that you need to be covering, because it is so important. Every single one of those that he shared with you, and you saw the little highlights of each category of those. This is what I'm talking about, is the fact that it is hugely important. These are not just like fun acronyms that he's come up with. He's mapped these out. He's taken his time to map these out on these mind maps for a reason, because these are the things that remind him of what makes him successful, what will make his clients successful. And so I just wanted to relate that this is literally what he shared, was like he was opening up my toolbox of what I use, just presenting it to me in a different way. And I thought that was really cool. But there is a point where, okay, you got your plan, and you're rocking and rolling, you got this, this business, you've studied it and 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 studied it. At what point is that not good enough?
The point that's not good enough is when you have to pivot, when the market shifts. You've seen the bumper sticker that says shift happens. You may have it different in Canada, but that's what it says down here.
No, that's
Shift
the
happens.
thing.
And our old brokerage, Keller Williams, Gary Keller with Jay Papasan wrote a book called Shift. And it was all about the shifting market back in that time period, that 2006, 7, 8, subprime, all the way up through 13, 14. And it caused a shift. And you have to be flexible, steadfast in your goals, flexible in your methods to reach them. When you have the big why, so Simon Sinek, start with why. When you have your big why, when you have your big target out there, you must have a big why. If you go without a big why, you're susceptible to just getting blown off course and blown out of the saddle at the first time adversity rises. And Candy, your story is a great overcoming adversity story. You've shared that. You shared that on your session on Saturday. You've shared that with me, and I applaud you for being the hero of your own story. That's what it takes, folks. Be the hero of your own story. You don't depend on anybody else. What I have found is people respond to pictures in their visual learners. And so this is where this business plan came in. How do you identify who you need to hook arms with in order to move forward in your plan? And I found some great tools. I teach this to my clients. I teach this to the entrepreneurship class that I teach here locally for a master's program. And I teach all of this because it is a great starting point for brainstorming. So when you're ready, I'll be glad to share the one that I kind of rustled up for the REI space, because although the categories are the same, Candy, as you know, each industry was going to have some different variables when it comes down to the end.
Oh yeah, I think that what Dan's actually asking me to share with you is something that you actually want to see. This is his brain on the computer screen. So please share it.
Well, I'm not sure about, yeah. Let's see if we got enough room for that. All right.
Or we
So,
sold the version of it.
so, so this is, so what you're looking at right now, and Candy, confirm you can see my hand
Yeah,
scratching on this
yeah,
canvas.
I can
Okay.
see it.
So what you're looking at right now is a tool called the business model canvas, and it's not something I made up. It's by a company down here in the right corner called Strategizer, and they've got some awesome tools. You can go look these people up. And I ran this by my wife, and I said, "What do you think about this? Did I miss anything in this?" And she said, "Yeah, you need to type it out." So that led to this. That's a little
By
easier to
your
read,
wife,
I
we
think.
all say thank you.
Woohoo! Yeah, I'll let her know. So anyway, so there, as you can tell, there are 9 sections to this business plan, and this is the visual part. This is what people find that is highly valuable. In the upper left, you have the key partners, and next to that is the key activities and the key resources. These are the things that you have to know, or things you have to have, or things you have to do. Okay. Which leads to the middle section here where you value prop. What value proposition are you providing your clients and customers?
Oh, so it's nothing
Which
about your program. It's all about the value you offer.
exactly. Then you have customer relationships. Who do you need to have a client customer relationship with in order to reach your end user? The channels deal with how would you reach them? And then you're talking about the customer segments. That's across the top. And we're gonna come back and spend just 30 to 60 seconds on each of these.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not a full-blown training on this. We have to do that later. So the lower left is cost structure. This is your outflow.
Yeah.
Remember, if you're not keeping track of it,
Oh,
you don't know where it's going.
yeah, yeah,
And then the income, and see, this is what people always focus on. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to have a rental property. I'm going to do a lease to own. I'm going to create a note. I'm going to create paper. I'm going to do a fix and flip. I'm going to do a joint venture. Yeah, okay. But I shouldn't use the word but. And how are we going to do that? And how are we going to, all of this answers the question how.
Well,
So,
can I throw in a little story there too? Do you mind?
absolutely.
Okay. I love that you've actually said that, because here's the thing. One of the things that I focus on a lot is the fact that when people start to they dive into doing real estate, and there's a couple of most common strategies people go after. Typically, they'll go after wholesaling if they're brand new, which, I mean, I've got a whole spiel on that one. Then there's got, flips, all the pros and cons and costs and risks involved in that. And holy cow, you never know what your profits will be when you're done. And then you've got rent to owns, another conversation again from me. But then there's also rentals, right? So a lot of people dive into rentals. And here's what I say. So what is your end goal? What are you trying to get out of, why did you pick that? And they're going, oh, well, it's my retirement. I'm going to have this property clear title. It's going to have no mortgage on it. And I'm just going to have cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. And so then I go, okay, well, so that's the end. That's what you're looking for out of it. But up until that point, what is it costing you? And if you 20 years later have that property clear title up to, okay, it's clear title, what money did you spend on purchasing it, maintaining it, renovating it? Because after 20 years, I mean, I'm telling you, every 5 to 10 years for sure, you're renovating if a tenant's been living in it, because they don't live in it like they own it. And then you've got appliances to replace, roofs, siding, sidewalks, all
Yep.
these things that can go on. And then what is your cash flow? What have you been making? Because I don't even count. Here's what I do when it comes to the equity in a rental. 50% of that equity is maybe countable of the appreciation value, because it could drop. So until
That's
you've
right.
cashed it out, you only can maybe look at what is your ability to borrow against, where it most likely will maintain its value. That's really the only money you can actually count on if you had to liquidate. So what is your return on investment? I have not met anybody yet, not one person who is making 5% average per year. So you have to
Yeah.
think about that. Is that the strategy that you should be starting with, or is that a strategy where you maybe get to later? So I'm thankful that you actually shared that, because I wanted to bring that up, how important that slide was. So please continue.
All right, sure. So here's what's important. You must know, and this doesn't have to all be done tonight, folks. Okay, this is something. This is why it takes time. One of the things I wish I had done was prepare myself better before I left corporate employment.
Identify
And
opportunities, and sometimes that's that. You have to have awareness there.
all right, are you still with me?
I am. We just,
Okay,
something just happened to us though. Just a second. No, we're still on
that's all
live
right.
stream. Go ahead.
Okay, I heard myself talking from another. I was like, "Whoa, that's interesting." All right,
Oh,
so okay, so who are your key partners? And this isn't the exhaustive list, folks. This is just things that I wrote down, and this whole thing took me maybe 10 minutes. Okay, accountant, bookkeeper, those could be one and the same. A financial planner, that goes back to begin with the end in mind, right? We
yeah.
7 Habits, Stephen Covey. And then who are you going to choose for your money partner? Is it a bank? Is it private money? Is it hard money? And they say, well, what's the difference? Interest rate. uh, that's a whole nother class. A lot of these
Yeah.
things are whole different classes, aren't they,
Yeah.
Candy? I mean, a lot of these
I
things
know.
can be different things. But venture capitalist, angel investor, attorney, coaches, mentors, real estate agents, insurance. When we started in this business, I was of the belief, based on some of the guru training I took, that having a license was a disadvantage. I did, and in fact, I didn't get licensed till 2009. My wife had the license, and I was doing everything I could without a license until we got too busy with all the short sales. You got to have a great insurance agent. This is not an exhaustive list. There are going to be other people that you're going to add to this. Key activities, networking. If people don't like you, it's going to be a longer road for you. If they don't like you, you need to go get a face man or a face woman to be the face of your company.
Model.
If you're a jerk,
Yeah.
find somebody.
Yeah.
Lead generation, active versus passive. Active. I had a Tom Hopkins book I read years ago when I was a young pup. He called it 20 people belly to belly, 20 people a day, 20 people
Oh,
a
I
day.
like that.
That's active.
Yeah.
Passive is it falls down in here with your marketing. Passive is stuff. It is your website. It is your mailers. It is all kinds of different things. Whatever. Marketing, market research. I would always say a good real estate investor will have a good partnership right here with a good real estate agent
Yeah.
because they can get you stats. What are your key resources you need to do your business? Well, in today's world, you need technology. You need software and hardware. You need systems, and we'll talk about systems a little bit, but a great CRM, customer relationship manager,
Yes.
because and these are all driven by the technology piece. So that's on the things that you need to, the people you need to engage with, the things you need to do, and the things you need to have. Okay, be, do, have, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So your value proposition depends on your business model. Your business model is: are you an impact investor? Are you doing are you helping revitalize neighborhoods? You are providing clean and safe housing, affordable housing. You're promoting home ownership. You may be able to offer creative financing by creating paper on your lease slash rent to own slash creative sales, and legal wholesale. And you mentioned wholesale. I'm glad you brought that up, Candy, because I've seen a bunch of wholesalers doing it illegally.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there are people watching. I don't know about Canada. I do know in the U.S. I know Arella is watching these illegal wholesalers.
Well, and the other side to those, if I could interject there too, I
Yep.
actually don't like them much. Well, they can be okay, but even myself, I've sold some wholesales. But the problem is I didn't. Well, the thing is, I didn't do it until I actually was an expert at negotiating and actually knowing
Yeah.
what a good deal was. But the problem is, it's sold to people as being the way to start with no money and to be able to start
Right.
making a quick 5-10 grand here and there. But the problem
Right.
is, here's the downside. If you're new to this business, you have no idea what a good contract is. You don't know what a good deal is or anything. You're not going to get that sold to someone who's an expert unless you just get lucky or they train you on what they're looking for. So you're going to be selling it to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. It's the blind leading the blind. The sad thing is the one that buys it at the end of the day is the one that gets hurt. So I find them very unethical too.
Yep. You're absolutely right. It is a huge problem. So, all right, let's blast through this. Customer relationships. Now, who do you need as a real estate investor? You need to have an inspector or two that you can go to with questions, or maybe help you if you're doing an as is and you're purchasing it off market. You need an appraiser to give you a great idea. And I always like to do at least two appraisals, which is the as is, and then the second is after repair value.
Yeah.
Those two. I like an appraiser that will do both. Okay. You need your tradespeople. You need to have a good plumber, electrician, painter, GC. When you get ready to sell, you need a good stager. You need a good photographer. I can make the case for all of these.
Yes.
And again, subject for another class.
Yeah.
So how are you going to reach people? Well, own it. Own a Facebook group that is hyper local. Get on LinkedIn. Remember, Facebook is the cocktail party. LinkedIn is the business symposium. If you need to update and upgrade your LinkedIn profile, again, subject for another day. Instagram, if you're that person, if you like to take a lot of pretty pictures, if you're doing before and afters are awesome when you're doing fix and flips. And then hyper local channels, next door, if it's in your area, Alignable. There are other little hyper local things where you can own your market. Okay. And then who are your end users? So again, renters, first time home buyers, Section 8 government assist, second chance homeowners that maybe they just came out of a short sale. Their credit's dinged for 2 years. Maybe it's a bankruptcy and it's 3 years. Or 5 years, or whatever the time frame
7 years
is for
up
your
here.
Oh, 7 years in Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
So the second chance lending is these people may have cash. They may have 15, 20, 30 grand in cash. They can't get financed. You become the bank, or you go into partnership with the bank, with somebody that has the money. Okay. And then your outflow and your income. So, keep track of your mileage. You don't have a clue how far and how often you're driving. Maybe not in the era of COVID as much, but it's still a lot of miles. What tools do you have? Oh my goodness. One of the things I do with my coaching clients, Candy, is I help them review all of their tools cost going out the door every month. So, and I'm not talking Netflix and Hulu and Disney. I'm talking about business tools that they're paying for on a monthly basis that they forgot about. And it's $20 here and $30 here and $50 here. And all of a sudden we've helped them recap $150 where they can either recap the money or put it into something better, or maybe consolidate some of their services. What are your marketing costs? How much are you paying in utilities? Can you write that off? Are you home-based? Do you have an office? Your partner fees, whether that's an accountant, an attorney on retainer, a bookkeeper. What are your partner fees? Over to income streams, the rental, lease to own, creating the paper. These are all exit strategies, by the way, all of these. Okay.
You're missing
How
one.
are you going?
You're missing
Which
one.
one?
At the bottom there, it should say FFSHING formula, fishing formula.
Oh, the fishing formula. Okay. I'll send this one to you. You can add that on there. How's that?
There you go. There you go.
So when I bring this business model canvas up, and I don't care if it's a real estate investor or a real estate agent or a plumbing shop, I don't care what business it is. We go through this. We go through each one of these sections, and we ID these. And these are not an end all be all, but these are a great starting point so that people can take an inventory. So they say, oh, I've got my marketing covered. I'm paying this SEO company. I'm paying this website company. Well, how are those leads coming? Well, they're going great. We're getting more than we can pray over. Okay, awesome. So we don't have to worry about that one. Let's focus on the next one. So it's a great way. It's a good business checklist for people to think about. And for somebody that's just considering to getting into investing or considering getting their license as an agent, oh my goodness. If they've never done this before, if they've been on a production line, if they've been a supervisor or a mid-level manager, they may have had to take care of budgets before, but they have never had to take care of the whole process. And it is an eye-opener. And it blows their mind. And the overwhelm is real, okay?
Oh my God. The last
is
thing you want to
real.
be is in the middle of it and where you have to now do your taxes. And then you're just like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, this is not what I signed up for. It's not
yeah,
the time
it's
to be
just this
figuring it
big,
out.
it's this big deflation. It's like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm just going to go get a job. You know? So, but that's why it's important to have a plan. And I'll share that system acronym right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Guys,
really good. I love this.
guys, girls, women, men, however you identify, listen, systems. You have to have systems. The way you become wildly successful is you have systems. And systems is an acronym for, drum roll, please, save yourself time, energy, and money. Save yourself time, energy, and money. That's what a system does. It allows you to leverage. And people say, well, man, Dan, you're just talking about it's all money, money, money. No, we're going to reframe that. It is an investment.
Yeah.
Remember what an investment gives you. Well, let me even qualify that. Remember what a great investment gives you. It gives you leverage and speed to market. Leverage and speed to market. A bad investment will bring you heartache and bankruptcy. So,
Right.
so anyway, but the visual piece of this is an pun intended is an eye opener, Candy. It's an eye opener for people because the macro view of this, they do not realize all of the moving parts that it takes to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the
Okay.
best life in the world, I think myself. That's why I do it. That's why I'm totally unemployable and totally proud of that. But it isn't sit back and read about it, plan it, and then do nothing.
Right.
You need to study it. You need to take it serious. You need to be intelligent about what you're looking at. You have to ask the right questions to get the right answers. You have to be able to ask the tough questions. Don't just be like, oh, well, I don't know if that's rude, or I don't want to challenge somebody on something that they're telling me. You have to filter things through to find the truth and the value in something. But then you actually, once you've looked at it all, you have to know what you want. Like you said, your why. You have to know what you want. And the why, I mean, we're not talking like, oh, well, I want that because of this or that. Your why. Let me define this for you guys. Your why, and I talked about this I'm going to give this to Amanda. I'm not going to say her last name, but Amanda and I were talking about this morning, and she just nailed it. She said, a why is really something that, when it comes right down to it, you would die for. You would defend it to the death. This is who
Yep.
you are and what you stand for. This is your why. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking fluff. You need to know what your why is. You need to then be building something that supports that why. It has to be congruent with you and your why. And then you have to go out and take action. Do something. Don't just sit there and think about it and tell everybody about it. You have to show yourself and everybody else how it works. And then when you do that, if you do it with the right heart, you've got your service-based business. It's about the outcomes you're providing other people. And then there's value in it because people see you as a resource. They see you as a solution that they're not getting anywhere else. And this is how you grow. And this is how you get referrals. This is how you love what you do because it's congruent with who you are. And the work involved in getting it, especially at the beginning and getting it set up, makes it's all worth it. It's all worth it. People are entrepreneurs and they stay there. They fight to not have to go get another job because this is the part of the business when you are an entrepreneur, when you do it right, that just sparks you and it sets you alive and it makes you energetic and able to get up in the morning and to work, you know, for as long as you want to into your older years, even if you don't need the money because it's something you have a passion for. This is life-changing stuff that we're talking about. And you have to do those steps at the beginning because if you don't, you've got nothing to build from. It's like the buildings in Dubai that were built on the sand and the sand's starting to wash away. You don't want to be that building that's coming down. You want to be something you spent that time and money and sweat and tears and years and hours and everything else into. You want it to be something that's of value to you and the people you're serving. And that's what I love about how Dan puts together in a very, very simplistic visual of what it takes, things that you need to look at and address and not ignore, not walk over, but to look at these things and really ponder on them and say, do I have this in place? Or am I missing one of these things? Because everything he laid out for you guys is what you need. It really is. Like he said, you have to go deep, but you need all of that. So are you going to give us a copy of that, Dan?
Sure.
Can we share that with everybody?
You can, yeah. And Candy, I sent you the blank one. I mean, I would be glad to send this one to you also. This is, but this is mine that I just kind of, you know, just kind of grabbed out of midair. But I think this is a good start point. So I'll send this one to you. You can share it out because you've got to add your own. You got to add the fishing system down there on the rev stream, right?
To do that. I'm going to handwrite it in.
No, I'll send you. You can. It's a PDF. You can, if you've got Adobe Acrobat or some other program, you can actually, you know, you can.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And what I'll do is, if anybody wants a copy of this, which I think you should do, you should have a copy of this. Private message me your email and I'll send it to you. Okay. And I'll give you both. I'll give you a blank one and I'll give you Dan's brilliant genius outline of what you should be thinking about as well. So that at least you've got a way to start. You can add to it from there.
I could just jack with everybody though and send them the handwritten one. So no, I'm kidding. I won't do that to you.
But they would be able to see it. I mean, there's a reason your wife very sweetly and lovingly said, type it up, Dan.
She did. She cleverly and sweetly tells me lots of things. But anyway,
I bet. So I have
34 years later.
I have one more thing that I want to add. It's going to take us slightly a little bit longer, but do you want to just touch on what your WTF is?
Sure. So WTF.
I love all your acronyms.
Let me show. You know what? I've actually got that mind map pulled up. Let me share that with everyone real quick.
Yeah. If you guys realize that the tools that he's using, take note on that because the tools he's sharing with you as he's doing this, he's literally showing you that he uses tools. We need these tools to organize ourselves, and that's so important.
Yeah. So this is all of these mind maps that I'm sharing with your tribe, Candy. It's either trainings or presentations that I do for groups. So here, this is CYA, WTF, and other TLA and FLAs. So CYA basically is cover your assets. You may have heard it differently. It's cover your assets, right? And that's the name of my coaching. Cover your assets in advance. Concierge coaching. So CYA and WTF, TLAs and FLAs for the crowd is 3-letter acronyms and 4-letter acronyms. Okay, just really basic. Mnemonics help me. They help me remember things. So WTF is all about reframe, all about reframing the conversation. Reframe the conversation. And I always say WTF is wow, that's fantastic. Remember, 80% of the time that you're working in your business or on your business strategy, in business, on the business, WTF, wow, that's fantastic. 80% of the time you're susceptible to WTF moments. So you must look for the lesson. Look for the lesson in each one of those WTF moments and just turn it around. Wow, that's fantastic. I've learned lesson X. I will never do that again. I will never say that again. I will never, I will never let myself get in a position to be harmed like that again.
Hmm.
So that's what WTF is. Wow, that's fantastic, and we have those moments every day.
Oh my gosh, I have like I've got a book that I'm working on full of them. And I've actually, they're so big sometimes I actually have to take a break every now and then and just like, I got to put this down because you're reliving it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I just wanted you to share that because that's so huge. I mean, and it's those things that can actually sometimes just get dropped in front of you and can stop you.
yeah,
And it did for me. I actually had so many things dropped in front of me for such a period of time there where I didn't even realize I had PTSD because I couldn't afford to stop. I just kept going, but it was just like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? And the WTF would have been awesome to actually
yeah.
know.
And I always told my kids, you've got one course of action. You've got things in your life that you can control and things you can't control. Even the things you can't control, there is the space between stimulus and response,
Mm, yeah.
and it's our reaction. It's our reaction. And I've got a whole training on that. Is how do we? I mean, we as human beings, as part of the animal kingdom, we are the ones that can step out of ourselves. And I think you even mentioned this maybe Saturday in your session, Candy. Is we step out of ourselves and we're able to look at our situation outside of ourselves
Mhm.
and make a decision on how we respond. And the young Dan, there are things that I would have done and said in certain situations in life that the more life experienced, I'm not going to say old, the more life experience now that I've had is make a different decision. Do not waste energy and time, which is our most precious resource,
Mhm.
on those things that you can't control. We have to adapt. We have to pivot. We have to be flexible. We have to be agile. All the buzzwords that the business, community is using nowadays. If you want a great example of that, just turn off your flipping TV.
Oh, yes. I haven't
Delete,
watched TV in
delete
10 years.
Twitter. Okay, yeah, delete Twitter. Twitter is a sewer right
Yeah.
now with all the political things. And no matter who's president, I don't care what political affiliation you are. If you're left liberal, if you're right conservative, if you're pro gun, pro abortion, I don't care. Because in the end, none of those people are going to come and do it for us.
Hmm.
We have to be the masters of our own business plan. We have to have our own why. I'm not saying be ignorant of
No.
all the issues of the day. I am saying educate yourself and be willing to make movements, to make adjustments. So now you just got me preaching. so,
That's okay.
so
That's okay. But it's all in, it's important because again, it's assessing what's going on and looking at what you
right.
actually truly believe and having asking intelligent questions. That's another one right there. I just want to add this one more thing, and then I'm going to sort of, if you want to add anything else. But you brought up something that was really important. We've both been students. So I'm still a student. I always have a coach for something. I mean, I've got coaches right now, and because to me that's important to be, hiring. I like to surround myself with like-minded people, but I like to hire people that are better than me at something so that I can learn that next thing, or maybe not, at least understand how it works, but then maybe know who to hire to help me with that next phase, right? But so here's something that we both discovered is understanding what courses to pay for and what not to pay for, and how to ask the right questions about the scaling of that. And where is that? What am I really going to be paying? And what am I really going to be getting? Is it just a course? Or am I actually getting a true coach that's on the sidelines that is yelling at me to do what he knows that I'm capable of, but also willing to sit down and put his arms around me and say, okay, what's going on in your life that's causing you to not be the best you right now? You know what I mean? That's a coach. The coach is like, think of a football coach on the sidelines that is ingrained in your personal life, not just your business life. It gets to know you. So what would you say to someone who, is thinking of taking a course or in any kind of, whether it's real estate or it's the business side of real estate or any of that, what kinds of things do they need to be asking about the the cost scale and what they're getting out of it.
Right. Great question. So here I do have a few thoughts on this. Number
I know
one,
you
we
do.
live in we live in a YouTube age, and there is almost nothing subject matter wise that you can't get on YouTube, right? You can go to YouTube, you can hit the search bar, you can watch videos. Rachel Hollis, Girl Wash Your Face, that author, Rachel Hollis, states, I've heard her talk before, and she states she learned what she is teaching now by watching YouTube. Now, it took her a
I
few
remember
years.
that. I remember her saying that.
She got there. Yeah, but she got there.
Yeah.
And I like Rachel because I think she's a lot like us, pretty straightforward, pretty straight talking,
Yeah.
you know, editing all the time to make sure we're not using anything offensive. So,
I'm terrible.
no,
I always
no,
tell people, warning. I should come with a warning. I have no filter.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
try.
So it's yeah, so that we don't have so we don't drop any F sharps, right? I mean, that's the
Right.
whole thing. We're not
Exactly.
F sharps. Um, so
So
yeah,
big
so yeah. So, but the payment is this. So at some point, you have to know the value of your time. And I always go through this. I always go through this exercise. And are you figure out the value of your time? So, Candy, you make $100 an hour. Let's just say it's $100 an hour. So, based on a 2,000-hour work year, that's $200,000, right?
Okay.
Okay. So anything less than $100 an hour that needs to be done for you should be outsourced.
Yes.
People say, well, I enjoy mowing my lawn. I get my exercise. Fine. Do it. Count it as exercise. Make sure that your Apple Watch is on and, you're getting credit for the steps, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's $50 an hour. Okay. Well, what's less than $50 an hour? So one of the things that I've enjoyed in COVID, and that I know that's like oxymoron, is I discovered a tool called Instacart. I don't know if you've got it in Canada. I don't know if it's everywhere.
Check it out.
So Instacart, you sign up and they do the grocery shopping for you. Woohoo!
Oh, we do have that.
We typically in Walmart has it, and Costco. I mean, all these places, but I never want to go back to the grocery store again.
Right?
I want them to come dump it on my front step. And it's something I probably should have outsourced a long time ago. I didn't think about it. Anyway, so whatever your cost per hour is, figure that out.
I always tell people, if you want to be paid like a contractor, do the work of a contractor. If you want to be paid like a real estate investor, then hire the other stuff out.
Exactly. That's great advice. So at some point, when you have your systems in place and you're generating the leads and you're getting the calls and you're meeting with people, remember, nothing happens until you meet with somebody. Now, whether that's Zoom or a phone call or in person, at some point you ask yourself the question, is this something I can do myself, or is it time to hire a professional? And the first time I heard that, I was like, that's a brilliant question. I'm going to use that. Is it time to hire a professional? Can I do this myself, or is it time to hire a professional? And I ask my clients this, are you to the point that cash flow will sustain? And most of the time, guess who they hire first out of their top 6 business partners? It's a bookkeeper, an accountant, because that first tax return, Candy, as you talked about a while ago, just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not making any money. It's a hobby.
What?
Anyway. So my goal for everybody I contract with is at least a 5x return. Whatever they spend with me, I want them to have a plan in place to 5x that into revenue. Now, revenue doesn't mean profit. Revenue is revenue. And I want them to keep their spend, their expenses down at that 1x level or 2x level. But I want them to think in their head, I am giving Dan X amount of money to help me 5 times that or 10 times that. Because in the real estate investing market, that's easily done.
Yeah.
That's easily done when you have the systems in place and you're smart about it and you've hired great people to help you.
Yeah. And you take action on what you learn.
That's the other piece of it. Without execution, it's just a dream
Yeah.
without taking action.
Yeah. So what is the
Absolutely.
what would you like to just sort of leave everybody with if there's something like a big Danism that everybody should be going, oh, that's brilliant. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal it and share it with everybody. What is that?
You can steal any of this because I stole it from somebody. So that's the beauty of wisdom, right?
Right.
The beauty of wisdom is, as Ecclesiastes say, there's nothing new under the sun. This is part of our human experience. So, I've got a lot of things happening. The one thing is, I want to serve people where they're at, and I want to do good as I do well, and I want to do well as I do good. I had a coach one time that told me between 8 and 5, you need to be working on your cash flow, and then from 5 to 8, you can help people that maybe couldn't employ you, or couldn't afford your hourly, right? Uh, because I give a lot away. Candy, you give a lot away.
Yeah.
We do that, and we put that out into the ether, right, into the universe. We do not know the one thin thread of a conversation or a chance meeting that will change the course of our life or change the course of the life of the person we're just meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing said can alter the course of destiny for you or for that person. I do this exercise in my class that I teach, and that is, I ask them, how did you end up in this master's program? Why are you in that seat tonight? Who influenced you to be in this class? Well, it was a manager at work. Awesome. Had that manager been a past student? It doesn't matter. Yes, no, whatever. Well, tell me about how did you end up at that company? Well, I had a friend that told me about this. Where is that friend located? Well, I went to college with him on the East Coast. Wonderful. Are you from the East Coast? Yeah. Where did you go to college? What decided? Yeah, well, I was an athlete. I had a high school coach that did this, and told me I should try out for this team. Wonderful. So tell me about your high school experience. Well, you know what? My dad was in the military, and we moved all over the place. And my sophomore year, I landed at this high school, and I actually got to complete 10, 11, and 12 in one place. It was a miracle. So if your dad hadn't have gotten that job, you wouldn't have been on that sports team with that high school coach who directed you to that university, who let you met this person, who connected you with somebody in this company, to have your manager in this place who told you should go take this course. That's called a great retrace. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom. Any one of those decision points that had been altered, we wouldn't have been there that night.
Yeah. It's not
They
true,
would
right?
they would have never met. So when you're on a Zoom call and you've got a gallery screen full, you don't know if you're sitting next to the startup person that has no money to start or the billionaire next door, right?
So
You just don't
true.
know.
So true.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so my advice is be nice to everybody.
Good.
Be nice, be kind, practice grace, mercy, and love whenever possible, when you're allowed to, because some people have chosen they're not going to go for that piece of it, right?
Yeah.
They're determined to be cranky and mad at the world, and you're not going to change it. You breathe a prayer blessing on them
Yes.
and let them go.
Yes.
Let them go. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
Practice grace, mercy, and love. That's my last Danism. So.
I love it. I love it. You shared a lot of those with us. I really appreciate that. I know everybody got lots of information from you. I'm just going to jump over here. You might hear background. I don't know. I'm just going to look and see if I can see some questions that people might have.
Oh,
Let's just see if it pops up here. I'm not sure where it is. Let's see here. No, not there. I'm just looking to see where it shows us on the video. Okay,
Listen,
so
call me. Okay.
what's that?
Yeah, no, I was just saying if you find questions after the fact, Candy, just reach out. I'll be glad to clarify anything, and you can pass it on to the tribe. So
Oh,
you
most of
just
it
let
are
me
just
know.
people are yippee, I got on. They're agreeing with some things you say. We're all 7-degree connected to each other, that kind of thing. So, but I also have a couple of private messages, people wanting your your business plan for domination. So looks like that was a big hit. So that's good. So yes, private message me if you want a copy of that. So I think we'll wrap it up, but thank you so much for spending your time with us, Dan. You always have so much, and I knew it would go over. I could have you on here probably all day long, and we could just talk and talk. People would probably just keep checking in and learning so much from us. But I always learn so much from you, and I just want to thank you so much for giving your time to
No
my group.
worries.
It's excellent. So, all right, everybody, we'll
My
see you
pleasure.
later. And if you want to get a hold of Dan, he's in the Facebook group here, so you can private message him.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, but I'm opening you up to invitations or people
That's all right.
asking you.
So yeah, this is good, and LinkedIn is good. You can find me there. So it's whatever channel you use the most. I'm probably there already. So
All right, cool. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much, Dan. We'll talk to you guys later. And everybody have a wonderful week and practice what Dan's been teaching you, because it does work. It's what it takes to be a successful real estate investor or a successful business owner, successful in life. Okay, everybody take care. God bless.